Hey friends, it's Dr. Michelle Bengtson coming to you this Friday with another hope-filled perspective. I hope you've been having a good week. It's been a difficult week for many, though, hasn't it? It's been a trying week for some. It has been even in our family. You know, many around the world are watching the Olympics, but in the United States, we've been having to deal with some difficult circumstances, even in our family in South Florida. That the shooting at the high school, that was at my niece's high school, and so we've been grappling with what does this mean, and how do we cope? And you know, many friends and family and even my patients are going through difficult times, even before that happened. People are dealing with health issues and financial issues and relationship issues. And so I just felt prompted to come on and share another hope-filled perspective about the fact that our pain is never wasted. It's never wasted. And you might be thinking, yeah, but Michelle, how can you say that? How can you say that when there are families who are grieving the loss of their children and their spouses? I promise you, our pain is never wasted. God will use that pain. You know, I look back in my own life and I've gone through some difficult circumstances. I remember going through a prolonged period of a devastating health crisis, one where I wasn't sure I was going to survive it. And my husband has gone through a couple of bouts of cancer. And if you've read my book, Hope Prevails, Insights from a Doctor's Personal Journey Through Depression, I went through a very severe bout of depression. So I've gone through some things that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And I remember praying through those circumstances. Quite honestly, there were times that I prayed that, you know, God, if you're not going to take those circumstances away, take me home. And when it was clear He wasn't going to take me home, I prayed, don't let me come through this unchanged. Like, bring good out of these circumstances. And I look back now and I can see how He used those circumstances for good. If you'd asked me then, if you'd said, oh, but God promises to work all things together for good for those who love God and are called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28, right? That's a Bible verse that we like to throw at situations like this when we don't know what else to say. That would have irritated me. And so I'm not throwing that Bible verse at anyone right now. Because in the moment, you think, how is God going to work even the shooting for good? I don't know. I'm not God. I don't know. But I know that God is faithful. I know that He is true. I know that He is good. And I know that He can be trusted. You know, in Joel 2:25, God promises to restore what the locusts have eaten. And I'm counting on God to do that in some situations in my life. And I know that He will do that in that community in South Florida. When I look back on those difficult circumstances that I went through, now, you know, hindsight's 20/20, but in those circumstances that I wanted Him to take me out of, He didn't take me out of those circumstances, but He brought me through them. And now when I look back, I can see how He used my pain for good. You might say, how? Prove it. Well, He tested my faith, and it made me seek truth. The circumstances made me confront God on issues that I had been avoiding for years. The pain made me cry out to God and really confront him on issues that I had been pushing down under the carpet. They were issues I needed to wrestle with. Those difficult life circumstances, those painful trials, made me put my trust in God and not in people. It's where I needed to put my trust. Those difficult circumstances, those painful trials that I went through, they strengthened my compassion like nothing else could have. Those difficult and painful circumstances that I went through made me so much more sensitive to the brokenness in people. I thought I was sensitive before, but now I really am. Now I can look in people's eyes and see it, and I have so much more empathy. Those difficult and painful circumstances that I went through allowed me to receive God's comfort, so that now it has given me a chance to give that comfort that I received from God to other people. We can't give what we don't have. But because of the painful, difficult circumstances that I went through, I had to receive comfort from God so that now I can extend it to other people. And those difficult and painful circumstances that I went through reinforced for me just how desperately I needed God. Those are just some of the ways that God has used my pain for good. If we could sit down over a cup of coffee, which would then turn into lunch and afternoon tea and dinner, because there are so many things that I've gone through in so many ways that we could talk about how God has used my pain for good. But you would see, it's not for nothing. God really can use our pain for good. Our pain is not wasted. It's not. You know, in Isaiah 61:3, God promises to give beauty for ashes and the oil of gladness for mourning and festive praise for despair. I don't know what you're going through today. I don't know what painful trial you are struggling with, but I know that God can and will use it for good. Your pain is not wasted. Will you give it to Him? Your hope-filled perspective today is that your pain is not wasted. God will use it for good. I pray that you'll give Him the opportunity and that you will trust Him with your pain. Until next time, this is Dr. Michelle Bengtson with your hope-filled perspective. May you have a hope-filled day.